There we go. Good morning and welcome. In case any of you didn't know at this point, my name is Megan Lancaster, and I will be your service coordinator today. Our reflection today, ethical common sense, will be given by our guest, Jay Bragdon, who it seems many of you know if our minutes before service was anything to go by. I welcome all of you today, and we, the congregation, welcome most particularly any of you who may be visiting us today. If you are new, consider signing the guest book at the back. This is also where hearing assistance devices and large print hymnals can be found. Please be sure to turn off or put on silent any devices you have that might make any sorts of noises during our service. It would be much appreciated. I have one announcement and then Francis has one announcement. So due to plumbing issues, we are not using regular mugs during coffee hour because we can't wash them. So there are disposable mugs down there. If you have a travel mug like I do, you could use that. There are even a couple of travel mugs down there that you could borrow for the week if you want to take some coffee in that with you. But please do not get out any of our regular mugs. Francis, you had an announcement.
This is a public health announcement for all you youngsters who are 65 and older. The CDC has recommended that we get a booster shot. So if you had a COVID shot in the fall, 4 to 6 months later, they're recommending a booster.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course.
Good morning, everyone. I am pleased to tell you that we have, I think, somewhere around 175 auction donations. And I want to thank everyone for their generosity, their creativity, and is there a word as delectability? The delectable offerings, there are many of those as well. So stay tuned, the auction goes live a week from today, and we will periodically display some of the wonderful offerings. Oh, we already have some, so please, after the service, come and look along the front pew here. Thank you.
Yeah, the artwork over here is really amazing. Definitely take a look. All right, so our opening words today is a poem. Welcome. My wish today is that we come well to this place, that we enter this time and space well, open, ready, to hear each other well and patiently, to share of ourselves willingly, to judge none, neither ourselves nor others. Today, my wish is that we are all welcome, that this space, this time, these people welcome us, that we are welcomed with open hearts and spirits, that we are welcomed as we are, that we are welcomed to be who we are now in this moment. This day, my wish is that we are all welcoming, that we make holy this time and hold this space, creating welcome and safety for each other, that we listen to others, hearing as we would like to be heard, that we share of ourselves, so others may feel welcome and comfortable sharing, but understand if they are not ready. It is today our place, our role, our calling to welcome one another and to receive graciously the welcome of others. I welcome you here, doing so only in the knowledge that you too welcome me. So it is that we together are welcome and well met. Blessings be upon our time together. We now head into a brief time of meditation. Consider planting your feet flat on the floor, shoulders back, hands open and palms in your lap. Then breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathe. Breathe thoughtfully, remembering it is not we who breathe, but the spirit of life that breathes through us.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm joining you today at Leon's suggestion to reflect on an emerging approach to national governance grounded in ethical common sense, a standard we urgently need here in the United States. Just as Thomas Paine's famous essay on common sense helped to launch the transformative American Revolution and the 19th century spread of democracy, a new ethical common sense movement is arising today, grounded in environmental ethics and a renewed sense of egalitarian governance. To understand the effectiveness of this emerging paradigm, let's take a brief look at Iceland, a country whose population is only 60% of ours here in Vermont. Due to its egalitarian culture, Iceland is today rated the world's third most effective democracy out of 167 countries surveyed by the renowned Economist intelligence unit. That's well ahead of the United States, which was ranked 30th. In addition, Iceland is rated the world's 8th most prosperous country in terms of average living conditions and quality of life. Again, far ahead of the United States, which was ranked 19th, according to a recent global survey by London's respected Legatum Institute. As Thomas Paine famously said in his revolutionary essay, "I have nothing more than simple facts, plain language, and common sense." And that's the path I intend to follow in my reflection this morning as we explore the remarkable success of Iceland's ethical approach to governance. In essence, what Paine contested was Britain's colonial belief that America would be better off and safer under the rule of the English king than under its own governance. As he convincingly claimed, this relegated the American colonies to a position of servitude and dependence that denied colonists their individual rights to self-develop, self-govern, and worship according to their individual moral and ethical beliefs. To Paine, a passionate advocate of individual rights and social equality, nothing could have been more fallacious or ineffective than such an obstructing method of governance. Today, we in the United States have a similar situation, one that serves a hierarchical few at the expense of the many, including all biological life upon which we utterly depend. That standard is called neoclassical economics. Simply stated, its goal is to grow GDP as a means of political economic strength and hegemony to which it subordinates the well-being of people and nature. This, of course, defies common sense because people and nature are the primary source of economic value creation. By putting means and ends in conflict, the neoclassical model therefore harms both democracy and the biological web of life on Earth, which sustains us and the well-being of future generations. From that perspective, it's an ethical tragedy. We have devastating evidence of this today in climate change and the degradation of essential ecosystems by our industries, including those in farming and fishing, which should know better. It is also evident in public health epidemics and rising gaps between rich and poor, particularly here in the United States. Returning to Iceland, let's consider for a moment how they succeed in such a decaying state of global affairs, and why their holistic approach to governance offers the world a more common sense, ethical way forward. Simply stated, their method of governance prioritizes universal care for people and respect for life, rather than trying to control humanity and nature by hegemonic means. My recently published book, titled Economies That Mimic Life, explores this very case. Grounded in the ideals of 5 Nordic countries that pioneered this life-affirming strategy over the past 50 years, its core principles are today embedded in the United Nations' 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Anyone can track the effectiveness of this emerging life-mimicking paradigm with a cell phone simply by tracking the 2 surveys mentioned at the start of my talk. These are the Economist Intelligence Unit's annual democracy surveys, which validate the necessary framework for sustainable development, and the Legatum Institute's annual prosperity surveys that cover 12 essential prerequisites for human well-being, including universal health care and education, social stability, and care for the environment. While all 5 Nordic countries regularly rank in the top 10 out of 167 countries in these detailed global surveys, countries with similarly progressive policies have also risen relative to the United States. And many of these, I might add, are in the Southern Hemisphere. To those who think that the Nordic model that I've been talking about is something peculiar to northern countries, that's not the case. As an aside, for those of us who are in or near retirement age, it's interesting to note that Iceland was recently rated for the 3rd year in a row as the world's highest rated country for retirement security. Think of that. With a population that's 60% of ours here in Vermont, they have the highest rated retirement system in the world. Unlike the US Social Security system, whose unfunded liabilities are many times larger than our GDP, Iceland's invested pension assets are valued at more than double its GDP. Here's another thing worth noting. Many of the top 10 countries in both the Economist and Legatum surveys, including Iceland, have elected women as head of government, a trend that evidently reflects the rising value humanity places on holistic thinking, reasoned dialogue, and justice. Considering the ubiquity of such developments among the world's most prosperous country, I believe we're on the cusp of an emerging renaissance, one that's grounded in respect for life rather than raw power and control. While you'd never know this in the context of today's political turmoil, particularly here in the United States, as the saying goes, it's often darkest before the dawn. Returning to the words of Thomas Paine, it's worth reflecting on the foundational idea of his essay on common sense, one that will have special meaning to this congregation. The Almighty, he said, hath implanted in us these unextinguishable feelings for good and wise purposes, for they are the guardians of his image in our hearts. In closing, we here in the United States have much to learn from the Nordic paradigm of political economic governance, which pragmatically and spiritually point us in this very direction. Thank you all for offering me the privilege of sharing these thoughts. May God bless you.